Let's start today's story during the first year of the Clone Wars. Anakin has just returned from Marathon and goes to Padme's apartment. He can sense that she is trembling. He asks her what's wrong, to which she reveals that she is pregnant with their child. Anakin stumbles on his words. He is concerned for how they will deal with this, but ultimately, he is beyond happy. They share a hug and celebrate the fact that they will have children. This became a small scandal in the Senate, as Padme wouldn't reveal who the father is. The other senators wanted to know, mainly because they knew if she was keeping it a secret, the likelihood of it being someone she shouldn't have a child with was high. But Chancellor Palpatine, also known as Darth Sidious, knew. He would keep his knowledge hidden for the time being, believing that he could use it to his advantage later on. And so, 9 months later, in the second year of the Clone War, Padme Amidala gives birth to twins, named Luke and Leia. All of a sudden, life became very good for Anakin. He had a wife, 2 kids, the Jedi giving him recognition for his incredible talents during the Clone Wars, and he had a strong connection with Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. He was known as the hero with no fear, the poster boy for the Jedi Order. The only thing he struggled with was not having enough time to spend with his family, but now he did have something to fight for. As the Clone Wars continued to rage on, the people of the Republic were growing tired of the war and believed the Jedi were turning into soldiers, but Anakin was the exception. His good looks and charismatic approach to his duties made him the most popular and well-liked Jedi in the Order. At a young age, Anakin's children showed a strong affinity for the Force. Anakin and Padme first saw this when the two were only a few months old, squabbling over some food. Luke gets annoyed at young Leia and uses the Force to knock her off balance, displaying strength that a young infant should not be able to use, but only could as the offspring of the Chosen One. This continued for a few weeks as their Force abilities would continue to show. This worried Padme more than Anakin. They had both decided they desired to keep them away from the Jedi life, and instead let them grow up and decide the path they wanted. But then displaying this level of ability was concerning. Padme would ask Anakin to help them control their abilities so that they don't consume them. When Anakin was on Coruscant, he would help train the children. Even though they were only a few months old, they were able to manage their power. Leia could lift cups and stones at will, and Luke was able to sense which hand Anakin was holding the hilt of his lightsaber behind his back. Compared to other children their age, they were unbelievably strong, and Anakin could tell in the future they will grow into extremely powerful Force users. Palpatine kept an eye on this through his spies and long network, allowing him to understand the children's power. He orchestrated for the children's power to be overtly displayed in front of the council in order for them to question their heritage. The following day, Padme took the children to the Senate, and after the session, Padme was grabbed and pushed to the floor by mercenaries. This was per their orders from Sidious. The children were immediately aggravated and they screamed and cried as any infant would as their mother gets shoved in front of them. This caused the children to simultaneously force push the man backwards as he fell to the floor. Senators all around stared in shock as the Coruscant guard took the men, and the senators helped Padme back to her feet, telling her that the children are magnificent. Padme hurried to take her kids and get home. She calls Anakin to come home from his mission immediately. After telling him what happened, they knew how dire the situation was and that it was imperative they face whatever happens next together and united. Padme will be summoned to the Jedi Council the next day, where they mention the incident that happened in the Senate. She tells them that they must be mistaken. Her children aren't Force sensitive, they were just upset. After displaying the security footage of the children using the Force to Padme, they ask if they could test the children just to make sure, but Padme refuses. Windu asks Senator Amidala to tell them who the father is. This was probably the 100th time she had been asked, and she gave them the same response as always, that she didn't feel at liberty to say. When she left, the council remained silent. They could all sense she was lying. It was clear there was something mysterious about the father. Padme raced home and told Anakin everything that happened. This was a big problem. If the Jedi tested the children's midichlorian count, then they would see an extremely high number, similar to Anakin, which would give away who the father is, and then both of their careers would be in jeopardy. Mace Windu takes matters into his own hands. Whilst Padme is in the Senate, he goes and gets a blood sample from the children. Though unethical, the children have been known to do this before, such as Qui-Gon, who took Anakin's blood without consent. Windu is suspicious of Anakin. He knows he and Padme have spent a lot of time together and thinks back to their mission all across the galaxy back before the Clone Wars. Perhaps that was when the spark was created. The test reading would come back and Windu would learn that the children hold 20,000 midi-chlorians, more than Yoda and almost as much as Anakin. Windu doesn't know what to think. It doesn't make any sense. But then once again, he makes the connection between how close Anakin and Padme are. There is only one possibility. Anakin Skywalker is the father. Windu is absolutely furious. He immediately calls a council meeting and the other Jedi Masters are shocked. After reviewing the midi-chlorian test, they all agree. Yoda asks Kenobi if he thinks it's possible that Anakin is the father, to which he freezes. He tries to cover up his answer by saying there are many possibilities, but when Ki-Adi-Mundi asks for a specific yes or no answer, Kenobi sighs, saying that it is definitely in the realm of possibilities. He didn't want to out his apprentice, though he didn't know for sure. He himself already had a strong inclination. He couldn't lie directly to the council, it wasn't in his nature. Yoda asked for suggestions on how they should proceed. Kenobi was the first to argue for Anakin's sake, saying that he is the chosen one and should be given dispensation that allows him to remain in the Order and with his kids. He points at Mundi, reminding them that he is married with kids. Exceptions have been made in the past, and Anakin's unique case of being the chosen one, burdened with destroying the Sith, is one of these cases. But then Kit Fisto explains that this doesn't excuse his actions. He has broken the Jedi code and he should be punished for it. The Jedi nod, before Plo Koon stands up for Anakin, mentioning how he has been the most effective general in the Clone War. It would be foolish to expel him. He agreed that the code has been broken, but expelling the Chosen One prophesied to destroy the Sith during a war against the Sith holds no logic and will only condemn him to a fate of darkness. Yoda agrees with the statement and believes that for the time being, Anakin should remain in the Order and continue fighting. Windu asks what will become of the children, believing that they should be brought into the temple and trained at once. There shouldn't be children out in the world with the Chosen One's bloodline and not trained by the Jedi. This was unanimous, even by Kenobi, who thought it was best if the children were trained. That night, Windu, Kit Fisto, and Ki-Adi-Mundi, along with the 187th Legion, go to Padme's apartment to collect the children. As they enter, they see Anakin sitting with Padme and the two children running around. Anakin asks what the meaning of this is, to which Windu replies that they know he is the father and now the children are coming with them. Anakin stands guard and refuses to let the Jedi take them. The course of the war had changed the Jedi. They were now darker, more brutal. These actions weren't uncommon for the Jedi, to take young infants of the Force away from families to teach them the art of being Jedi. In fact, it was written in Republic law. But Windu almost felt like this was a personal vendetta. He hated Anakin, and he wanted to see him suffer. Windu ignites his lightsaber and moves forward, claiming that the children are from the Chosen One bloodline. Their power could ensure the protection of the Republic for generations to come. But this wasn't the life either Skywalker wanted for their children. Anakin ignites his sapphire blade and tells Windu if he makes another step, he will protect his family with Force. As Anakin and the other Jedi approach, Anakin raises his hand, his emotions increasing with every second. He takes a step back and a deep breath, using his immense Chosen One Force powers as he blasts all of the Jedi back and smashes the clones together, rendering them unconscious. He was extremely powerful, the Chosen One of the Force. By the time the Jedi regained their vision, Anakin, Padme, and their children were gone. They immediately went into hiding, knowing that for the time being, they needed some time away from the Republic to figure out what was best for their family. Over the coming days, news that Anakin is the father of Padme Amidala's children becomes public, and the entire Republic learns about it. This was a big deal. Padme is a respected senator, and Anakin was arguably the most popular and famous Jedi at the time. It became a shock to people that they were missing and couldn't be located. They were effectively turned into celebrities, the Kardashians of the Star Wars universe. However, Palpatine used this to his advantage, spreading lies that Anakin and Padme had been colluding with the Separatists, and this is one of the reasons they have gone into hiding, because the Jedi were closing in on finding out the truth, and now they have defected from the Republic and its courts. There was a mountain of fabricated evidence that supported this, such as images with Anakin and Padme with Sand Hill and Newt Gunray, chat logs with Dooku, and financial trails from Padme to the Separatists. This was all revealed. The Jedi were divided. Some believed this was false, like Yoda, Plo Koon, and Kenobi. But then some masters such as Windu, Mundi, and Depa Billaba campaigned that it was true. Ahsoka and Obi-Wan would begin investigating to see what was true and what was false. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka's investigation into Anakin and Padme's supposed collusion with the Separatists led them through a false web of leads and fabricated evidence. After a series of dead ends, they noticed a peculiar pattern in the timing and encryption of the damning communications. The coding bore a unique signature they had only encountered once before in highly classified Republic transmissions. This anomaly prompted them to access restricted Senate recordings, where they found that the encryptive algorithm was exclusively used by Chancellor Palpatine's office. Still uncertain, they cross-referenced the logs of the alleged traitorous communications with Palpatine's known schedule and movements, uncovering several suspicious overlaps. The final piece fell into place when they intercepted a covert message to the Separatist leader from within the Senate bearing the same encryption. Through meticulous decryption and analysis, they traced it back to a hidden transmission that only Palpatine's inner circle could access. Their investigation, now pointing towards Palpatine's sinister intentions, not only exonerated their friends, but also exposed the Chancellor's duplicitous nature, revealing that he is not only working with the Separatists, but he is the Sith Lord. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka presented their findings to the Jedi Council, who were initially reluctant to believe the revelation that Chancellor Palpatine was the architect of the deception and the Sith Lord. However, the evidence was irrefutable, and they knew they had to act on this now. Anakin was in danger, and more importantly, the Republic was in danger the longer they allowed the Sith Lord to be in power. Understanding the urgency, Obi-Wan dispatched Ahsoka to locate Anakin, who had been in seclusion for months, to inform him of Palpatine's treachery and his innocence. Meanwhile, the Jedi Council confronted Palpatine to arrest him. The Jedi arrive in his office and declare that he is under arrest. Palpatine snarled, refusing to go lightly. He stands to his feet and ignites his lightsaber. The Jedi prepare their defenses, and the confrontation erupts into a ferocious battle into his office, the air thick with crackling energy of clashing lightsabers and the dark aura of the Sith Lord. Palpatine, revealing his full dark power, moved with blinding speed and ruthless precision, swiftly cutting down several Jedi Masters, including Plo Koon, Mundi, and Fisto. The room became a blur of motion as Palpatine's red blade danced through the council members, leaving only Yoda and Mace Windu standing against him. The other 5 Masters are on the floor dead. Their combined skill and synergy proved formidable, and together they pressed their attacks forward, each encountering Palpatine's strike with grace and power. The duel reached its peak as Yoda's acrobatics and Windu's powerful strikes began to overwhelm the Sith Lord. With a coordinated effort, they managed to knock Palpatine to the ground, his malevolent grin momentarily faltering. Just as Yoda and Windu prepared to deliver the final blow, the doors burst open and Anakin Skywalker walked in, his presence commanding immediate attention. Palpatine, seizing the moment, called out to Anakin for help, his voice dripping with desperation and false camaraderie. Anakin ignites his lightsaber, the blue blade humming to life, and for a tense moment, Palpatine's confidence surged, believing his victory was assured. However, Anakin's gaze was stoic and resolute as he moved to stand beside Yoda and Windu. Palpatine's smile faded as Anakin chose the Jedi. Together, they were too much for the fallen Chancellor, and with a series of powerful blows, they defeated Palpatine. In the aftermath of Palpatine's defeat, the Jedi Council convened to discuss the future of Anakin Skywalker. They recognized his pivotal role in vanquishing the Sith Lord, but also the need for a new path for the Chosen One. After much deliberation, different ideas were given. Some advocate for him to stay within the Order and forget the whole thing, others saying he should take a lesser role in the Order as punishment. Ultimately, along with Anakin's help and agreement, they agreed that Anakin would leave the Jedi Order and focus on raising his children away from the conflicts of the Republic. With Padme by his side, Anakin took their children, Luke and Leia, to Naboo, seeking Padme's peaceful homeworld. There, Anakin begins a new chapter, instilling in his children the teachings of the Force with a blend of wisdom and love. As they grow, Luke and Leia become powerful and wise Force users, embodying the balance their father had sought. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka would often visit, and they became the aunt and uncle of the kids who loved them dearly. Meanwhile, the Republic emerged victorious in the Clone Wars, a hard-fought triumph that paved the way for a new era. The Senate, determined to avoid the pitfalls of the past, elected a new Chancellor in Bail Organa, who was committed to peace and restoration. The galaxy began to heal, with renewed hope and a collective resolve to build a future, defined by unity and peace, free from the shadow of the Sith. If you enjoyed today's video, you must watch What If Anakin Never Had Nightmares of Padme Dying, and What If Anakin Left the Jedi Order for Padme. Please check out our membership page if you would like to support the channel, it really helps us out. Thank you all for watching, and may the Force be with you.